Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 4. My name is NURFARHANAH Binti. My metric number is A20A1816. Question 1A. The answer is graph for business cycle diagram Macroeconomic situation. 1B. Briefly explain about the phase. The answer first is Malaysian economy is passing through the phase of recession. Second is in recessionary phase to output declines, employment falls, falling price, increase in government borrowing. Third is the government should implement either expansionary fiscal or inventory policy. And lastly, when expansionary fiscal policy will be adopted, then this will be rise in aggregate expenditure, which will increase output on employment. That's all from me. Next, I will pass to my friend. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi Medan and to all of you. My name is NAZIHA Binti Muhammad ARIFIN. My metric number is A20A1584. I will continue for the question C, that is the one economy policy that government should implement, and briefly explain the role of suggested. So my answer is expansionary fiscal policy. And then I also state a curve diagram the process or expansionary fiscal policy for better understanding. Expansionary fiscal policy is used to overcoming unemployment and increase economic growth. When the government raise G, then AE increase. When the government decrease T, then YD increases and C increases. AE increases. As a result, the country's income increases and increase Y curves more labor to be used, then unemployment can be reduced and economic growth occurs. That's all from me. Thank you.
Based on the above statement, the information we get value of consumption is 2,500 billion. Second, autonomous consumption is 1,000 billion. And national income is 3,000 billion. From the given table, we can find the value of marginal propensity to consume using the formula changes in total consumption divided by the changes in total income. And the answer is 0.75. For this question, find the value of tax. We need to use the consumption function, which is A plus B YD, and in addition, this possible income equal income minus tax. Then fill the function with the value we got earlier, and the value of tax is 1,000 billion. For question 2 Roman, find consumption function. Using the information autonomous consumption 1,000 billion and MPC 0.75, fill the consumption function, and the answer C equal 1,000 plus 0.75 YD. Next question 3 Roman, using the information autonomous saving negative 1,000 billion and marginal propensity to saving 0.25, fill the saving function, and the answer C equal negative 1,000 plus 0.25 YD.
Next, the question for 2B. Find the equilibrium of national income using. The first Roman is use aggregate demand and aggregate supply. The formula AD equal AS is Y equal C plus I plus G. The value for consumption is 1,000 plus 0.75 YD, and each value for investment and government is RM 1,000 billion. In consumption, have YD, that means we need to national income minus tax. So the value of tax is RM 1,000 billion. So the final answer we get is Y equal RM 9,000 billion. Secondly, for the question 2 Roman, find the leakage and injection approach. The formula is S plus T equal I plus G. The value for saving is negative 1,000 plus 0.25 YD. And the value for tax, investment and government is RM 1,000 billion. So the final answer we get is Y equal RM 9,000 billion.
consumption function is 1000 plus 0.75 YD from the answer question B. Next, value of government expenditure and investment is 1000 billion ringgit. Based on the statement said, aggregate investment contracted for the 5th consecutive quarter by 5%. So we need to find the value of investment after contraction, which is 95%, and the answer is 950 billion ringgit. The statement also said that the export of goods and service declined for a 3rd consecutive quarter by 7.1%, equal to 1050 billion, was the largest decline. So we need to find the value of export after decline, which is 92.9%, and the answer is 13,738.73 billion ringgit. For this question, find the new equilibrium of national income. We need to use formula from 4 sectors economy, which is Y equal C plus I plus G plus F minus M. And in addition, we have no import value, so just plus export. Then fill the formula with the value we got earlier, and the value of new equilibrium of national income is 63,754.92 billion ringgit. For this question, the answer is yes. If the full employment is 5,800 billion ringgit, Malaysia will facing the economic problem, which is rising inflation. Inflationary gap occurs when actual aggregate expenditure at set full employment level. The equilibrium of actual national income occurs at point E0 when the national income curve intersects with the actual aggregate expenditure curve. The equilibrium of potential national income occurs at point EF when the national income curve intersects with the potential aggregate expenditure curve. So, actual national income of 63,754.92 billion ringgit is higher than the potential national income of 5,800 billion ringgit. A contractionary policy can be implemented by the government to reduce the inflationary gap. The government can reduce government expenditure or rising tax. As a result, aggregate expenditure curve will shift from AE0 to AEF, and actual national income falls by 57,954.92 billion ringgit from 63,754.92 billion ringgit at point Y1 to 5,800 billion ringgit at point Y0.
Question 2D. Using aggregate demand and aggregate supply curve, discuss the effect of the above situation on the equilibrium of GDP. So based on the curve, we can see when the aggregate demand curve AD0 intersect with the aggregate supply, as the economy reaches equilibrium at point E0 at the price level P0 and national income Y0. So if Bank Negara Malaysia BNM left its interest rate at 3.75% in Q4 2020, it is slightly lower than Q4 2019 at 4.8%. There will be an interest rate difference of 1.05%. So this decrease in interest rate will cause an increase in the company's borrowing. The production of goods and services will increase, as well as the export activity of goods will also increase, so causing the country GDP to increase. As a result, aggregate demand increase, the AD0 curve shift to the right at AD1. Thus, there is a new equilibrium point at E1 at the price level P1 and national income Y1. So in conclusion, the decline in interest rate caused aggregate demand to increase, price to increase from P0 to P1, and national income from Y0 to Y1.
My name is Nurul Izzah Binti Gazman, and my metric number is A20A1870. I will present about the case study number 3, which is the effect of twin deficit and the way to overcome the twin deficit. Twin deficit is a country that has a combination of a deficit in the current account and a fiscal deficit. Twin deficit known as a double deficit. Firstly, budget deficit or fiscal deficit occur when the government expenses exceed government revenue. Secondly, the current account deficit is when the value of import of goods and services is more than the value of export within a country. To be called a twin deficit, both events must occur at the same time. If the twin deficit situation occurs in Malaysia, this will have a negative effect on the economy of the country. The effect of this twin deficit is likely to cause depreciation as there is greater demand for import. This put Malaysia at risk of depreciation. Depreciation is the exchange rate will cause import inflation for consumer and firm that depends on import of raw material. However, due to the fall in the value of export, that will cause a shift in demand for this currency will also lead to depreciations. Other than that, the effect of twin deficit is decline in national income. Demand for export of goods and services is declining. This has led a reduction in the production of goods in the country. It will cause GDP to shrink. Therefore, Malaysia will experience a twin deficit and the Malaysian national ringgit currency will weaken. The other effect of twin deficit in the budget or fiscal deficit is potential crowding out effect. Budget deficit are accompanied by high debt level as governments struggle to raise enough funds to cover their expenses. This attracts investment in government bonds, sukuk, and other type of debt denominated in the local currency. This is one way to cover expenses or known as debt more than government revenue. For example, in November 2018, Malaysian Finance Minister YB Lim Wang Eng presented the 2019 budget. The estimated government revenue in 2019 is RM2,814 billion. Meanwhile, the estimated expenditure of the Malaysian government is RM31455 billion. This shows that the government spend more than its revenue, which is about RM5274 billion. Another effect of twin deficit is the budget or fiscal deficit is an increase in national debt. When the government spends more than its income, it must cover this cost. Unless it has raised funds from the previous year surplus and it must be financed through debt. When running a budget deficit, the government owns its growing amount to the bank. However, the more government borrow, the more government debt.
Assalamualaikum and hi everyone, my name is Nurul QURROTU Binti Muhammad JAMAIZI and my metric number is 820A1768. So here I want to share about the solution of twin deficit. There are two ways to reduce a budget deficit. First and foremost, increase revenue or decrease spending. For example, increase revenue by getting a raise, finding a better job or working part-time. In addition, can start a business on the side, draw down investment and rent out real estate. The way to overcome the twin deficit problem is to improve the trade account. For example, repairing an income account. Malaysia can restrict the outflow of investment income by providing investment incentives and tax relief to encourage reinvestment. Secondly, increase the competitiveness of Malaysian goods. For example, increasing the country's export through the construction areas, subsidies, and tax-free areas. Besides, to increase the competitiveness of Malaysian goods by devaluing the national currency so that the export price of local goods becomes cheaper. As a result, the demand for the export of goods became higher than before. Next, reducing imports of goods from foreign countries. Malaysia needs to overhaul its domestic policy to reduce its dependence on import products from foreign countries by giving priority to building the capacity of local industries to produce Malaysian-made products. Moreover, encourage the development of the tourism sector. This can be with promote the tourist industry, help tourists, education, sports, international conventions to encourage the entry of foreign tourists. In conclusion, the government needs to be concerned about the twin deficit so that it does not happen again. Besides, the government needs to play an important role in overcoming the budget deficit and current account deficit so that the total administrative expenditure does not exceed to the total revenue. They also need to ensure that the current accounts are in good and comfortable condition. Next, all parties must work together to make various efforts so that this double deficit does not occur in country. I think that's all for me and my group members. Thank you and see you again.